process of designing a logo can be a complicated one. What makes it challenging is that often as a designer, I'm asked to translate an idea or a complicated set of ideas to a very concise visual form. Our assignment in this case was to design a logo for New World Symphony, which was moving right at the beginning of 2011 into a brand new home in Miami designed by the architect Frank Gehry. What if we used the logo to reflect the idea that the symphony was taking classical forms, traditional forms, time-honored, practiced skills. So we had this idea of taking two different typefaces, one very classical, shown here in the N on the left, and one very modern, shown here in the W on the right, and combine those to write out the full name of the institution. So we did a whole series of studies that finally led to this very concise, again, metaphoric idea where we took an N, a W, and an S, cropped them, put them inside a square, and rendered 4 different shapes that are each kind of angular and kind of odd in of themselves, but in a way I thought Michael's sketches were a cousin to some of the original sketches that Frank Gehry had done, that again sort of conceived the activity within the building as being a continuous gesture that kind of worked back and forth, the pen never quite leaving the paper. Interestingly enough, I thought it also related to the science of sound, the idea that that pitch and frequency are related to each other, and indeed that's what we're hearing when we listen to music, and that's determined by continuous waves that can be angled or oscillate with different frequencies. It also suggested perhaps a route that could be based on the gesture of a conductor's baton, which again is delineating a point in space, and just like a pen never leaving the paper as it sketches, it's kind of continuously reiterating a metrical motion that can be very expressive and kind of lovely in and of itself. So this is a page from my notebook, and you can see that what I'm trying to do here, or maybe you can't see it, but I swear what I was trying to do here was figure out a way to cross the 3 letters and to figure out a way to express all 3 of them in a way that felt they were drawn in one continuous line, yet somehow suggested maybe oscillating waves, sound waves, maybe the vigor of Frank Gehry's sketch, maybe the gesture of a conductor's baton. We came up with a form shown here in an animation where it is indeed one continuous line that renders an N, a W, and an S and returns potentially to the starting point. It has the pleasure of also being, or at least pleased me because it had this symmetry to it that was unexpected and not easily shaken out of 3 letters that are sort of similar but fundamentally different. And it just also seemed to suggest, even if you couldn't read the N, the W, and S, even if you'd never seen the Frank Gehry sketches, even if you didn't care about oscillating waves, even if you didn't know what a conductor's baton was supposed to look like, I think it felt a little bit like music or organic human activity, as opposed to so many of the things we've been looking at up to this point, which always felt a little bit kind of industrialized. This felt very kind of organic and human to us. So here we see the final form of it. You see the modifications we made to the shapes, a lot of which were done so that a viewer could get a little bit more quickly to the N and the W and the S. Having a hidden surprise inside a form, I think, is a bonus in a way. So if someone looked at this and they just thought it looked like the forms of the Gehry building, or it just looked energetic and pleasing, that would almost be enough for me.